So, welcome to Dawn of a New Era, the Billionaire Brain podcast. And today's guest is Molly Stovold. And we're going to be talking about how she built a 611K business in 7 months using only LinkedIn. Now, I've been on LinkedIn literally, I think, since the internet began, and it's been a slow process. I would say I've had a love-hate relationship with LinkedIn. I think most creators on there have. So, start off with just telling us a little bit about how you started your journey in LinkedIn and how long ago was that? Because your agency only started 7 months ago.
So I started my personal brand on LinkedIn 4 years ago, 3.5 actually to be precise. And I've actually had to start my LinkedIn journey twice because the first time I started my LinkedIn, I just got to near 10K followers. I was ramping up to launch my LinkedIn training course, and then my account got hacked and I lost literally everything.
I remember this. I
Yeah.
remember this because it was crazy because I'd been on LinkedIn for a very long time and then you got hacked. And then literally earlier this year, I got hacked. And I can't even describe what was that feeling when you woke up and saw that your account being taken over?
It was panic. And it was my 30th, wasn't it? It was my 30th birthday. Yeah, it was my 30th birthday. And I was on this tiny little island in just off of Bali called Nusa Lembongan. No Wi-Fi. I hadn't even brought my computer because I was like, you know what? I'm going to detach. I'm not going to bring my laptop. I had to get straight back on the ferry and go and just do damage control, but I couldn't fix it. I'd lost absolutely everything. And it was such a panic and stress. How did you feel? Did you manage getting to get
I
your
woke
account
up
back? Yeah.
to find like awful content pasted across, like not just hacked, but mine was like pornographic content everywhere. My company page, my profile, they changed all of the wording in my profile to obscenity. Like I literally remember like looking at it and thinking, what on earth? I just went straight to my laptop and then I managed to get in through Sales Navigator. And I was so lucky. But even then, I couldn't get the content down because if you've had your content sort of restricted, they won't delete it. So they deleted 30 days of content. They deleted everything on my company page. They'd sent messages to all of my contacts with awful content. I mean, I just sat down on the floor at that point and just thought, Dawn, there's nothing you can do here. You've got back in, you've lost content which doesn't matter and people are going to understand. And I just kind of took a breath and stepped back, and it was scary, but then I thought at least I've got it back. But ever since then my algorithm has been really difficult to kind of get reached, so I think I must have been in some sort of LinkedIn jail. So I don't know whether I would have been better at that point starting a new one, although like 60, 70,000 followers, it's tough.
So I couldn't get my account back. So I ended up having to start a new one and starting from scratch. And then, if anything, it does prove that you can grow on LinkedIn because I did exactly the same thing again and it
Yeah.
worked, right? Now I've got
Mhm.
83K nearly followers. And but I actually know someone who had a very similar situation to you, Dawn, who had his account hacked, had the pornographic thing as well.
Yeah.
And he, like you, was a real leader and really had a very healthy account before that happened. And since then, we actually worked with him to try and, lift this ban and help him. And it was a struggle. It took us, normally it takes us a month to get an account really going. It took us 3 with him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's what I'm going through at the moment, but I'm just persevering and just pushing content out. And I think if it taught me anything, it did teach me that I thought if I lost LinkedIn today, I'm not actually reliant on social media. And I've had a lot of interviews in the past few weeks, like Lauren Tinkner, she lost 128,000 of her Instagram. There was another lady who lost her entire social media accounts. And I think the thing is if you can still do it again, grow, keep business going, it does prove something. I mean, for you, it was only 7 months ago that you had a 6-month-old baby, no savings, and your husband, I think he just lost his job as well. Why was that the moment that you decided to launch Sitting Pretty out of every moment?
Well, honestly, it was because I didn't really have a choice. That was
Yeah.
that was why. I had to find a way to serve my audience for the new season of my life that was motherhood. And
Mm.
doing cohorts constantly and launching every quarter, even, or maybe every month, just was not realistic. I couldn't do it. My energies with nursing and everything, it was a lot. My courses would always sell out, which means I'd have at least 30 students. And that amount of people that need your attention is quite hard to hold, I find, energetically. So I thought, okay, how can I actually serve people in a way that they're asking me for, but also leveraging everything that I've done in the past? And that's how the agency was born. I had all of these students that had gone through my LinkedIn courses over the years, and they all had these big LinkedIn accounts, and they're saying, Molly, it works, but oh my gosh, it's so much work. I could spend all day on LinkedIn. I don't have time to do my LinkedIn properly. I've got all these inbound leads, but what do I even do with them all? I don't have time to work. So initially, I was just training people to have assistants to help them, and I would help them train them. They'd work with me one to one, and I thought, this is a scalable business right here. And it's crazy that I'm going in and just doing all this training, because then the assistants eventually, as soon as there's a new algorithm update, they'd need training again. So that's how Selling Pretty was born. And I think because it came from actual there being demand already existed. I already had a handful of clients that I messaged and they immediately bought.
Mm.
It worked, and it's snowballed since then.
Yeah, because you hit 100K run rate in just 2 weeks, which is crazy. And anyone who's been in business knows that there's always a bit of a turbulence, in scaling something. But I think because you had this foundation already, you were known in the industry, we've been connected for a long time, although we've never met in real life, we kind of knew who each other were. I think that does make a difference. But a 611K within 7 months. I mean, for me, I love scaling, and hitting a mill in 7 months is something I love to do. But it's no easy feat to do, especially because you're not using ads or any outbound. So, what do you think drove the growth? Was it this foundation of existing course attendees, or were you bringing in new clients?
It was inbound marketing. So that's really what I do. Inbound marketing was my corporate career. It's what I built my whole business on. Sure, it's LinkedIn, but LinkedIn is really just the vessel. It's the strategies that we're doing through LinkedIn that we could bring to any other platform and it would still work. And that's because we're not actually trying to sell to people. We're just showing up, being the go-to person, being known for what we do, and through a personal brand. So I'm saying we throughout all of this, but actually it's I. People come and they choose me, the individual, and then that's why they choose the agency at the end of the day. So I'm really just perfect example, really use case of I found a brand and a personal story that converts regardless of what the offer is, because my audience feels like they know me so well already. That is the logical next step. That of course that's what Molly's doing now, because they were being primed from that agency and that pitch before I even launched it.
Yeah. And obviously, building a business through LinkedIn is huge. But what do most founders misunderstand about turning their personal brand into actual revenue? Because I see this on LinkedIn. This is why I've got this love-hate relationship, because some content I love, and you're like, they've nailed it. This is how a personal brand talks. It's a person, you buying into that whole personality and building a relationship. But what is it that the founders cannot connect with when it comes to this personal branding?
I think the biggest thing is that founders get stuck at one part of the content funnel and they don't know how to storytell for each part of the content funnel. So just briefly, the content funnel is the top of the funnel, the middle of the funnel, and the bottom of the funnel, right? Top of funnel goal is to attract new followers. Middle of funnel goal is to convert those followers, so that they trust you, like so. And then
Mm.
the bottom of the funnel is to convert them so they buy from you. Now, what a lot of founders do is they will just do bottom of funnel, convert to buy. So they're just pitching, pitching, pitching. No reason for people, just burns out the audience. Or they'll go and work with someone who's a social media manager who's like, oh, you should do infographics or do
Oh my
this top
goodness.
of funnel content. It's really trending right now. They'll get sucked into cat video trends or whatever it is. You've seen it. And then they can't escape it, but then they're not making any money. Sure, they might have 250K followers with their cat videos or their infographics, but they're making no money because they've got stuck on someone else's strategy at the top of the funnel. Or, and this is where the majority of, I would say, LinkedIn founders are, is middle of funnel, because it's the safest place to be. You can still get followers with middle of funnel content. You can still convert with middle of funnel content. And of course, you'll always be building trust. But that content doesn't go viral, and that content doesn't make the most sales.
Mm.
So the biggest thing I think people are missing is really integrating a strategy that includes all of that. And to break it down, so before you get to 10K followers, and when I say 10K followers, I mean 10K followers of an audience that actually your target audience that potentially would buy from you.
Exactly. Yeah.
I would say to try and weigh it so the majority of your content is top of funnel. So let's
Mm-hmm.
say you're posting every day, 7 times a week. You would have 4 posts that are top of funnel posts, and the others would be split between bottom of funnel and middle of funnel.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I see this a lot, and especially like when people are going on from other platforms like TikTok or Instagram. I think each platform has its own individual nuances and way that you work it, and there's a huge difference between content that gets attention and content that generates clients. And I remember saying to someone, it's when I'm just talking with my audience and telling them, I don't have all the answers, talking about my epic fails, that those are the ones that actually people like come into my DMs are like, Dawn, let's speak. Like what you said really resonates. I'm here, you're here, and you're building that bridge with your content. So what does content that converts really look like, the bottom of the funnel? Because again, I see constant infographic and cat videos on LinkedIn, but there is a distinct lack of conversion.
Mm. So the content that we've seen for our clients convert is storytelling of their case studies. So rather than saying my client, da 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 da, you would really just start with the pain point that that client came with, and
Mm-hmm.
use that in your bottom of funnel post. So it's pain point marketing for bottom of funnel using storytelling as well, and using very specific findings or results. So with the new algorithm that's obviously monitored by AI, the first 2 lines, if you get your keywords in there, so your main keywords on your profile, or a statistic, that's going to help the algorithm push your post further. So with bottom of funnels, you're already struggling against the algorithm because it's not the type of thing that goes viral. So how can you kind of hack that is by using a statistic. So let's say the pain point is that you're working with women in business, and the majority of women in business don't get, or women-led businesses don't get funding. So you would start with a statistic on how few businesses run by women get funding. That would therefore flag to LinkedIn like, hey, this is an expert piece of content, so you'd get the reach. And then you go and use storytelling to tell the story of how that may be the case, but for your client, you didn't need funding because she did it all on her own, bootstrapped. Something like that. That would convert for bottom of funnel.
Yeah. Uh, And I think the thing is that there was this process that kind of came to light that certain influencers use, and it felt like everyone was using this same like infographic thing, and it kind of like tunes me out a little bit in terms of actually engaging. Because when I first started using LinkedIn, it was my only platform. I loved it. And then now I would say I'm an advocate across kind of Instagram and LinkedIn. I use them both quite differently. I get a lot of inbound marketing from LinkedIn, but I think that's purely because I've been there for so long that I do have a brand. It's not necessarily just due to my content, because I've kind of fallen off the wagon a little bit. It's coming back, but you've built 75,000 followers, right? Brand new account, and this is obviously very numbers led content. Statistics around driving content, but which LinkedIn metrics are you following? What is the goal over vanity metrics? I mean, do you measure reach more? Do you measure engagement more? I think founders have no clue actually what they're measuring on LinkedIn. They tend to look at just reach and whether they got comment, likes, and shares on each post.
Yeah, so I would say the followers is a vanity metric, yes, but people always say that and they forget the weight that followers have if you're going for partnership deals, or also
Sure.
just when people are popping into your account. So followers do make a big difference. So when we first spoke about coming on this podcast, I was at 75. I'm already nearly at 83. And
Mm.
since making that jump, just to put some proof in it, I've now been able to charge double for what I would charge for partnership.
Mm.
And that's been literally the biggest change. I'm still getting the same reach. It's only the reach has only changed fractionally, but the followers has massively changed because I'm still in that same kind of
And
attention.
perception is there in terms of like if you land on someone's account, you know, psychologically, we will be making a judgment if they've got 5 people following them versus, you know, 55. I do think it matters. For me, I've always said I would rather have quality followers that we're getting some form of engagement with. And I know that when we've got people who are coming in and talking to us, so they're coming inbound, as you say, that's the key. That's the measurability. I mean, I'm guessing you'd rather have 100,000 followers, you know, in your account who were actually engaged in you, ideal market, and there's a specificity around why they're there. What do you see the trend then in terms of LinkedIn? Because there must be a certain amount of active accounts that sit at the top, like the top 20%. What are the trends that you see happening in 2026 in terms of people who are really winning on LinkedIn?
So then this goes back to what to track for founders as well, and because it relates to this point as well, is optimizing for saves and sends. So whether you're tracking engagement or reach or impressions on LinkedIn, optimizing for saves and sends is going to send your content out to way more people, which means you're going to get more
Mm,
impressions, which means you're going to get more followers, which means you're going to get more comments. Literally, for all of it, it fixes all of these problems. So now you know that. Think about what type of content do people save and what type of content do people send.
mm,
And it's important that you don't just optimize for one of these, because this brings us back to the infographic problem. And that is that people were using infographics because they got lots of saves. And for a while, maybe like 8 months ago at the time of recording, that was working really well. And that's why they kept going viral. But LinkedIn clocked on. So just saves alone now aren't good enough. It needs to be starting debates. So you want saves and sends. So infographics get saved. But what gets saved and sent, it's educational maxing content. So rather than educational content, education maxing is slightly different because it doesn't just spur educational stuff that validates what you already thought about that topic. Instead, it reframes what you thought you knew about the topic and makes you leave wanting to go and try something. That's
mm,
educational maxing content. It makes people stop in their tracks and think about it. If you look at creators that are doing really well, they're doing this reframe content. They're unique takes, contrarian takes, that kind of thing. Stuff that is being sent around to lots of other people
mm.
because it's amazing. And that their peers or competitors are saving, being like, oh my gosh, I need to learn about this. Yeah.
Who are the people that you love the content right now? Is there anyone that stands out that you think, you know, I really like enjoy reading? I know it's difficult because there's so much out there.
Oh my gosh, yeah, I really love. So I'm on a bit of an AI hype at the moment. So Charlie Hills is amazing. He's the AI
Mm,
guy. He's brilliant. Um, and who else do I love? You know who I really love to follow and is Misha Collins. She is
mm,
growing super fast. She's also just so super sweet girl. I really like her. And then Courtney Johnson as well. She's a mama and killing it. And Lara Costa, I mean, also just she is so inspirational, I think, for so many young women, and is such a trailblazer that I think I just support all those women as well so much. They're in my industry, right? Yeah.
mm. I followed Laura for a long while, and again, probably similar to sort of um, relationship there, where I've kind of seen you online, seen Laura, and that you definitely stand out as brands for me. You know, and on LinkedIn, I think one of the nice things is that there's so many women that are absolutely smashing the personal brand side of things. And I love the fact that women are very supportive on LinkedIn. I think it's always been a really nice community of people because it's the one community that even over the years that when people come on podcasts, we kind of remember each other. I feel like we build a deeper relationship somehow through LinkedIn and the type of content that's served on there. What has been your best experience on LinkedIn and also your worst experience on LinkedIn?
Best experience on LinkedIn is just what I've got invited to.
Mm,
So even though I haven't been able to go to most of it because I've been stuck in Bali or stuck in Portugal
yeah.
waiting on a visa, but that's purely from my network. You know, it's like Lara Costa's launch party. I never thought I'd be in a room with those kind of people. Um,
Mm,
Or Fatima Khan as well. She does amazing events. She's brilliant. All of those kind of experiences where I'm just kind of mind is blown. I was a bit of a dork in high school, and now I'm getting invited to all of this stuff is just blowing my mind. Yeah, that's the best
And it's not
part.
going to be long until you're back and you've got your visa as well, so you can come to all these amazing things. So you've had obviously lots of your clients have had huge success on LinkedIn, from closing sort of 20K to multi six figure. Um, what has to happen between someone posting and just seeing the content creation through becoming a high value client? So what happens in the psychology of the viewer when they're seeing somebody position? What changes?
Hmm. I think the biggest change that I think we make to our clients' profiles that really actually moves the needle for them is they start speaking like a real human.
Mm,
Whether that's because they've got lazy, started using too much AI, happens
yeah.
to the best of us, or
Hmm.
whether it's because they've not been making money on LinkedIn or getting clients or getting reach for so long, and that they've started to question everything that they're putting out there, and they just sound like a carbon copy of the competitor on LinkedIn that's killing it. Um, what we do, so the way that we would do that is I just get on a call with them and I tell them to ask them to tell me stories, and they tell me stories, and I turn those stories into content that goes viral and converts. And if their profile needs an update, which most of the time it does, we do those tweaks. So that really all just comes back to positioning in a way that's uniquely theirs, that no one else can copy. And then, sure, we still look at trends, we still look at what's going viral, and we still feed into that. But instead of doing the process which so many other people do, which is start with the trends, what's working, let's see what's working, let's find our unique take, replicate this and do it. We start with the story, then we look for the trends, and then we do it that way round. So then our clients are actually the ones creating trends rather than, joining them.
Yeah, no, exactly. I think what you said then will resonate with a lot of listeners, where people have just become a little bit numb to LinkedIn because they've been going through a process, creating content and maybe not getting traction. What would you say the biggest piece of advice for somebody right now, today, can take to kind of reinvigorate their love for LinkedIn and start getting traction? And this is kind of hard for me.
Biggest advice I would give is to start writing your stories again.
Mm,
Go back and think, what are really fun, cool, embarrassing things that have happened to me? And without trying to come up with a lesson at the end, just tell the story as though you were telling someone next door to you.
mm,
And just start telling stories, because when you're writing the story without trying to find a lesson and without using AI, and you actually, you enjoy that process, and then you post about it and your readers or your followers enjoy that process, then it validates you, and it's like, oh, okay, I actually don't need to come up with some big solution or some aha moment. I can just literally tell stories on LinkedIn, and that's going to connect with my audience, and then that eventually will convert.
mm. No, I'm definitely going to do this. I mean, I just signed my third book contract on Friday. No one knows this yet. So
Congratulations.
I know, I know. So this is going to be, honestly, Molly, this is going to be my reintroduction to LinkedIn post. I'm going to go on, I'm going to celebrate it, and then I'm going to get into my story writing, because I've loved writing my book. And you know what? I absolutely loved writing on LinkedIn and telling people about some of my epic fails and telling people just kind of the journey of what's gone on. And those were the most powerful moments for me on LinkedIn. What was your worst moment then on LinkedIn?
So I used to, and this worst moment is obviously getting hacked, right? But I wish I could sit there and be like, oh, I didn't deserve that at all. But I had created this series called Gems from the DMs, where I got women to screenshot the awful DMs that men had sent them on LinkedIn, send them to me, and then I would do a series every Friday called Gems from the DMs, and it went viral a lot, and it became quite a big.
I bet.
And then one Monday, suddenly, I had lost my account after a particularly spicy Gems from the DMs. And I must say that I think that someone who had been highlighted in that series was the person who went and hacked me. And because it was such a personalized attack,
Yeah.
So that was definitely my worst moment, yes.
It's pretty bad. I mean, on the positive, you're scaling now towards 1 million ARR, which is fabulous. And obviously, that moment from starting sitting pretty to now is huge. But what has had to change in your business so the personal brand that created the growth doesn't actually become the bottleneck to scale this agency?
That's a good question.
Mm.
Hiring, good hires. And
Yes.
I'm a recovering people pleaser. So for me
Mm.
to take myself out of everything and not just do it all, and oh, it's okay, I'll do it, used to be my motto. And to stop doing that has really helped me scale. And I've got some unicorn hires on my team, and I genuinely wouldn't be here without them. Yeah.
Yeah, I believe team is a big part. And I think it's the transition of when the business isn't reliant on you and you can be wherever, be a digital nomad, travel the world, the business is still running. Um, I get a lot of people talk about lifestyle businesses. What's your viewpoint on what a lifestyle business is? And do you see yourself kind of scaling and scaling and scaling? Or is there a point where you're like, this is kind of my target I want to get to, and I want to optimize from that point on?
Funny thing about the lifestyle business is there are a lot of the entrepreneurs that I know, they're not doing business for their lifestyle. Their business and their life are so interlaced. They're doing it because they genuinely are passionate about it, and they're in it. If we were to stop their business, be like, okay, go have an amazing life, go be free, they'd start another business.
Yeah, I totally agree.
And that's
And I've always said I don't have a clear distinction between like holidays and work travel. I blend everything. So I don't traditionally have like a Monday to Friday, like conformity of today has to be a day that we do this. I just believe that if you're flexible, like if I run retreats, I'll always tag on a little bit of time where my partner will come at the end and or I'll go and travel to the next place. I believe that a business can kind of scale as your life scales. And, I've always, and have had some falls off the wagon here, but I've always tried to design my business around my life in what I really, really want to do. And the older I've got, the clearer I've got about that. And probably in my mid 20s to late 20s, I was not winning at that. And it took to probably my 30s to now mid 40s to realize that what that synchronicity looks like. So, what does your life look like running an agency and what's, the agency fueling for you?
my life looks like. And just a side note, this is not what it looked like when I began. So I started
Mhm.
charging £100 an hour, and I had to graft and hustle to get to this now. So if you're in that place, like I see you, but now we, yeah, I'm constantly making 6 figures a month. I live in Portugal. I have a saltwater pool and a sauna that I do every morning. I've got a beautiful baby girl, and I have a nanny and a housekeeper to support me here, which means that I can work. And then when I finish work, I get to be with her instead of clean the house, which is what I saw my poor mum do her whole life. And I get to just have this beautiful life, and we luxury travel. I used to travel on a shoestring with a backpack and like hitchhike, and now I'm flying business with my family. And that is what the lifestyle is that I want to create, is this luxury, adventure, and comfort. And also just being able to support my family if they ever need me. I've got to come from a big family, so I need to earn a lot of
And it is.
money.
That's a huge part of it. And I think sometimes when we're building a business, it's easy to lose sight of what the why was when we first started because it becomes a process, a routine, and then you fall into the traps. So, in terms of obviously living your life, and sometimes founders disconnect from what their actual why was. We forget why we started the business. It is easy to fall into the traps again and kind of get stuck in the busy, busy. What's your advice to people in terms of getting out of the busy, busy and reconnecting to their why?
Find a practice, and a
Mhm.
practice that's genuinely yours, not something that you're told to do from someone else, and do it every day, no matter how busy you are, because I promise you, busyness doesn't go away. The bigger that you get, the more money you make. It doesn't suddenly disappear. It's always going to be there. So you and only you are the one who has control over your time. So find time in your day to bring in that grounding energy. So for me, That's sitting in the sauna and journaling with absolutely no screens, no phone,
Mm, love it.
um, and working out.
Yeah. I do think moving every day is a big part of it. I can definitely feel the difference when I haven't moved enough. I haven't kind of focused on just getting some exercise in, be it just walking. I mean, like, big change for me was doing reformer Pilates every morning, and just knowing that before I started the day, I'd actually done that one process. That changes my whole state of how I enter the day. So tell us then what is going to be happening for the next 12 months. Have you got anything exciting coming up that we can tell our listeners about?
Scaling is sitting pretty. We are very close to hitting 1 million ARR. Actually, we've scaled. So since I spoke to you about the podcast, we've scaled substantially more than that.
Mm-hmm.
So that's exciting if we can do that. So we're just, all hands on deck right now, trying to make that a reality.
Mm-hmm.
And got some really exciting hires as well coming on board that are filling in my blind spots, which I'm very excited about. And my husband Oscar is working with the agency now as well, full time.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So how does that work? Because I speak to so many people who have done this and there's mixed reactions. It's tough. How do you put the boundaries in place to still kind of keep a very solid relationship outside of work and then have the boundaries in?
Well, the way that we did it actually is, and I can see why people are questioning this, but we did
Hmm.
it together right at the beginning. I said, "Oh, I need some help." He was the perfect person. But then it was like, "Oh, we're just working all the time." So he said, "You know what? I'm just going to go get a normal job. You can hire someone who's doing what I'm doing." But then his normal job meant that when I wanted to go to the beach because it was a beautiful day and my team had it covered, I couldn't because he had to work. And when I wanted to go on holiday because my family were going to be in France, let's go see my family in France, he had to sit in France in an apartment whilst I spent the time with my family. And it was horrible for him. So what I really noticed was, sure, that it can be hard working with your partner. You have to, at night time, put your phones away and say no chat, no work chat. If you've had a bad day at work, don't bring it to each other because work is each other at the end of the day. And creating those boundaries and then sticking to them, and also just what's the payoff. So for me, would I rather have a man that's sure bringing in some extra income but is working all the time and sometimes a bit unhappy, or would I rather have maybe a man that's, we have to have these really strict boundaries and
Yeah.
sometimes we cross them and that's not that great, but hey, we get to go on holiday literally whenever we want. We're both present for my baby when we both want to be. And for me, the payoff was much larger, but it doesn't mean it's easy.
No, I agree, and I've seen a lot of people do this successfully, and I do think it is a struggle as you scale. If you've got a partner who is in a conventional role and you want to travel more, and I've definitely seen this in my life. My partner does have a conventional job, so it means that I'm traveling a lot and then sort of factoring in very specific times. So it's about being intentional about how we kind of reconnect, but if there was one last thing about LinkedIn that you could share, maybe a takeaway or a piece of advice, what would that be for a founder?
If you can't do it properly,
Hmm.
hire help.
Yes. Yeah. Such good advice. I mean, I think the thing is content in itself, it's a cognitive load. It's something that's always there. We're always thinking about what we're going to be posting, how we're going to be posting. And if you can take that problem and share that and then empower somebody to help you to do that, where are the best places to connect with you, Molly? How can people find? I'm guessing LinkedIn is going to be the number one.
Yes, LinkedIn, of course, would be the number one. And like you, I am Instagram girly now. I've started recording videos. I've recently started posting there. If you want to see me embarrass myself, then go check it out. Same tag as Molly. I don't even know what to call it. See, I'm so new. Molly Stovold at Molly Stovold. That's where you'll find me.
Love it. Love it. Well, as ever, we've come to the end of the podcast, and it's my favorite part. It's the bit where my founder guests can share the most embarrassing moment. So, Molly, what have you got for us?
So when I was recording one of my LinkedIn courses, I recorded a video and I was using Loom, and Loom didn't cut off where I thought it had cut off. So I then went and I sent an email to my dad, very personal one, and then I had an hour conversation with my elderly grandma where I told her all the gossip from my life. I was doing my hair as well, and I was also just talking just absolute madness, trying to entertain. You know what it's like with elderly relatives. I was just trying to entertain her for an hour, and I uploaded it to the course. The entire loop. Always check your recordings, people. Luckily,
Oh my goodness, this is one of
only
my favorite. This is my favorite because I can just imagine like talking to your gran and like doing all the things and just like trying to keep the conversation going. Oh my gosh, how many people watched it? Did you get messages?
luckily, that's what I was going to say. Yeah, luckily, one of the students was just on it, and she immediately messages me on WhatsApp because she had my WhatsApp number. Thank goodness. And Molly, oh my gosh, I don't know if you know this, but of course, I just immediately damage control. But I'd say probably about 10 people saw my chat with my grandma, but they all thought it was hilarious. I was more.
Well, yeah, yeah. I mean, there could be worse things, but do you know what? I was going to say, you're lucky that someone actually did it and they didn't just take to like messaging everyone else in the course chat to say, check out Molly's conversation, you got to watch it. It's
It's
fantastic.
true. Yeah.
Oh dear. Oh, well, thank you for coming on the podcast. I have really enjoyed our chat. Hopefully, when you're back from Portugal, we may cross paths at some upcoming events. And of course, you'll be invited to my book launch because you were the first person to find out about my contract.
Yes. Can you tell me a little bit about what it's about?
Yeah, it's called The Billionaire Brain. And yeah, I signed with Forbes on Friday. I know,
Oh,
I
that's
know.
massive. Oh my gosh. I'm so happy
I
for you.
know, I know. So it's my third book. So my second book was all about digital for my marketing academy. I've got a private university, and it's taken me years to kind of get out of that business operationally and step into this new one. So since about 2017, I've been very focused on my personal brand and Enigma Wealth Global. So I thought now's the time. I've got to do the book, and I had to write the entire manuscript in advance because you have to go through a manuscript review before publication. So it's all written and it's ready. So it'll probably be a year from now from publication of this podcast. But it's exciting because it's being published in America. It's going into retail and online and everywhere. So yes,
So
very exciting. It's all about human potential and neuroscience. So it's all of the different people, millionaires and billionaires that I've met, and different habits that they have used to kind of think better, feel richer, and just live a happier life. And it's all based around Japanese wisdom and my nine principles, which is basically the acronym Dream Life. So, yes, it's coming out now and I'm very excited. So, yes, anyone listening to this podcast, the book is coming out soon. So, thank you for being the first person that I actually shared
such an honor.
my with. Yes. So thank you so much, Molly, and hope to see you soon. Pleasure meeting you.
Thank you.